The UK decides to halt some of the military exports to Israel, and Zionists are not taking it well. Benjamin Netanyahu, an indicted war criminal, blasts the UK for their decision not to send him unlimited amount of weapons without any conditions. Do Zionists have any fucking shame at all? The entitlement of these genocidal Zionist scumbags have to be studied. Imagine lecturing countries for not sending you an unlimited amount of military equipment for you to commit your mass slaughter. You would think that Zionists would be grateful for the West selling out their people so Israel could protect themselves. But it is never enough. They are true parasites. It's even worse because this arms shipment ban that Zionists are complaining about is a joke. Only 30 out of the 350 military exports that the UK sends to Israel will be banned. Despite how pathetic this arms embargo actually is, genocide Joe Biden and the United States is furious at the UK for doing this. The UK justified their decision by citing UK law and international law that states it's a violation to send military experts to a country with a prime minister as an indicted war criminal and committing war crimes and genocide. Genocide Joe Biden and Holocaust Harris is not happy with the UK putting them on blast like that. So never forget, as the establishment lectures pro-Palestinian protesters, that our government is ran by criminals currently rebelling against international law.
You're just showing up once every 4 years to do that. You're not serious. You're not to me, it does not read as authentic. It reads as predatory.
Jill here. I'm about to board, but very quickly, I just wanted to thank AOC Pelosi so very much for her very authentic concern about growing green power. Clearly, AOC is the attack dog du jour, and the Democrats are running scared, and they should be, because who wants to support a genocide? Who wants to vote for a genocide? And if there's anything that's predatory here, it's saying that your candidate is working tirelessly for a ceasefire when actually they are actively funding and arming genocide and actually refusing to even consider an arms embargo, which would bring the genocide to a screeching halt. AOC, who's supposed to be in leadership of the Democratic Party, it's amazing if she doesn't know about the anti-democratic tactics and strategies that the Democratic Party uses to crush and silence political opposition. They've been hiring an army of lawyers to throw competitors like me off the ballot. They've been hiring infiltrators and saboteurs and publicly posting job advertisements for those positions. They've been hijacking our public funding in order to keep us off the ballot. And they actually impersonated the Greens to throw us off the ballot in 22 in the Senate race for North Carolina, for example. How is that not fraud and election interference? Also, what's predatory here is stealing the signature issue of the Greens. Our Green New Deal launched in 2010, appropriated by AOC as her signature issue in 2018 without a mention of where it came from. So bottom line is, Americans want more choices. We are that choice. We are the one choice, which is anti-war, anti-genocide, pro-worker, climate emergency. Check us out, JillStein2024.com. Thanks so much.
What's poppin', my friends, my family? We are back once again. Welcome. We got 3 streams in a row. What's poppin'? Well, Nick at Noon once again. And on Monday, I covered and we dismantled AOC for her advocating against building third parties. Like, how can you call yourself a socialist if you're inherently against building for third parties? So what happened was AOC actually released the best campaign ad for Jill Stein she could have possibly asked for, because look at the numbers. She was trending all day. Massively ratioed and buried AOC with what I call the hottest political diss track of the year. This is why they usually try to avoid Dr. Stein. Because if you look at this thread, you had a lot of AOC and Vote Blue, no matter who, dead enders that were trying their best to save AOC. But Jill Stein cut her down the side because remember, it was AOC that spread one of the most malicious pro-genocide lies we ever heard when he said that Biden and Kamala is working tirelessly for a ceasefire, as the Biden administration is lecturing the UK for their pathetic arms embargo. You had Israel, their foreign ministry, that acknowledged that without United States support, their genocide wouldn't have lasted more than a few months. So if you want a ceasefire, you support ending U.S. arms, but AOC wanted to mislead her audience that was the case. And this is fantastic. This is the best moment for third parties in general I've seen, because now we are forcing the argument from the professional managerial class. Like, everyone and their mama got an order to release a video in order to smear Jill Stein and third-party movements, because Democrats had a plan that they was going to legally force Jill Stein off the ballots. Do you guys think it's a coincidence that after Jill Stein won legal victories and beat Democrats in court, which made it so she was on the ballot in multiple swing states, that you see Sam Cedar, AOC, all these people come out and smearing Jill Stein in the Green Party? Do you guys think that's a coincidence? It is absolutely not a coincidence. It's a temper tantrum, because that was their ace in the hole. The progressive left, their plan was to hope Jill Stein stay off the ballot, and then they can shield for the lesser of two evils. Now we have the polls that show Jill Stein tied with Muslim voters. She's defeating Democrats and their anti-democratic practices to remove her from the ballot. And you want to know who was there at the Uhuru trial, the trial of the century? Jill Stein was there, showing solidarity with the Uhuru 3. Who else is doing that? You have so many of the white left that's completely silent on this issue. You have the free speech right that is nowhere to be found on this issue, but Jill Stein was in Florida covering the trial, showing support to the trial. We showed you guys that yesterday. So the premise, which we will continue to destroy, from the social democrat traitorous left, is that we got to support genocide. We must sell out the global working class and support imperialism, because things are getting better. Imagine being how out of touch that is. Ever since the rise of the Bernie movement, is what I put in this tweet here, dismantling their premise. The premise that comes from the people that are criticizing not supporting Democrats, did the Sam Cedar, Kyle Kulinski, Vanguard crowd. The premise is things are getting better under Democrats, under incrementalism. I explained this countless times. I'm going to introduce my guest, Danny Shaw, here soon. My criticism of the Democratic Party is not what they haven't done for me. My criticism of the Democratic Party is what they have done to our communities. You understand? So ever since the Bernie Project, no one can deny the Democratic Party had to unapologetically shift to the neocon right. They always was, but now it's not even hidden. Now, I explained this tweet. Ever since the rise of Bernie, AOC and the squad, all we got is cop cities. We got genocides, never-ending military budget expansions. We have Joe Biden waging in his historic war against journalism. He partnered with NATO in the West, arming Nazis in Ukraine. I can add more to this tweet. Going after the Uhuru Black Socialist movement, what white progressives and these liberal class traitor scumbags would have us do is to support the administration that is literally trying to make it illegal to oppose their foreign policy. Joe Biden is implementing fascism. And the trade-off for fascism for these people is we don't even have a Medicare for all is dead. A federal $15 minimum wage is dead. Student loan cancellation dead. Student loan debt relief. You said cancellation, medical debt, all that stuff is done. Medicare for all is dead, fam. It's dead. So the idea that we even getting incrementalism by supporting the Democratic Party is a false premise. We are getting fascism. Look at the title here. And I've been reading these headlines all day. They've been barely, scantily reporting on it, but it's a joke reading these articles and not even hiding the fascism that the Biden administration, that Democrats, not Trump, is implementing. The trial begins of 4 accused of helping Russia sow political division. For what? Because they're critical of the Ukraine war. The same Ukraine war that Sam Cedar, AOC, and the Social Democrats support. And they want to silence black radicals who they always test this shit on first. Meanwhile, the free speech right, silent. The progressive left, silent. You have to go to RBN, Black Alliance for Peace, Midwestern Marks, who I've seen report on this as well. You got to go to a very few select outlets that will even report on the trial of the fucking century. I'm going to read the headline. I'm going to get my guest here. I apologize for the longer rant than I planned, Danny. I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to read the headline here. Black Alliance for Peace condemns the federal indictments of Uhuru 3 in denial of their fundamental human rights to speech, association, information, and political dissent. What do you call the ideology that criminalizes political dissent? They are being threatened with 15 years. The Vanguard don't have anything to say about it. Ben Burgess, who called me an anti-Semite, don't have anything to say about this. He's too worried about finding the ghost of anti-Semitism and accusing black radicals of anti-Semitism. Ben Burgess is too busy doing that instead of talking about the free speech trial of the century. Now, with that said, I'm going to introduce our guest. It's great to have Danny Shaw join us once again, an amazing geopolitical analyst, educator, researcher. I would call a citizen journalist as well. I saw your speech that you gave a few months ago. Great speech. Speech giver as well. I'm a speech enthusiast, you guys know. Welcome to RBN once again, Danny.
Yeah, peace, Nick. Peace, RBN. Thanks for the invite. And your rant is my rant. Your anger is my anger. All power to the Uhuru movement and these kangaroo courts, man, going after the chairman, the always eloquent Omali Yeshitilla, a mentor to how many generations of Pan-Africanists and fighters. And they trying to jam us all up. They keep telling us, oh, if Trump wins, you're going to have fascism. Well, what is this?
What is this?
And FBI raiding Scott Ritter's home and what they're doing over there across the Atlantic pond.
Okay, it's crazy, man.
In England to our brother Richard Medhurst, who so many people love and admire. Yeah, this is ridiculous. And the FBI has a combined budget with the Department of Homeland Security of $120 billion to harass, like you said, everyday people and citizen journalists, which is the hat we've been forced to wear because the AOCs and these sheepdogs misleading our people over and over.
Yeah, very well said. And the fascism that we are seeing the West crack down on, because it's game time. Like, it's not time to play around. They are escalating the conflicts with Russia. So now they crack down on all political dissent. And I believe you was victim of retaliation. I don't know the entire story. I want to ask you about your experience regarding the West fascist crackdown on free speech. You have the ADL that smeared us as anti-Semites for simply explaining the apartheid genocide regime. But look at this article. This article is so crazy. Actually, I almost want to see it. I don't know if they have a video version of this. Look, I'll just read the first part of this. The trial began in Florida Tuesday with 4 activists accused of illegally acting as Russian agents to help the Kremlin sow political discord and interfere with U.S. elections. Literally insanity. Danny, I won't pass to you. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're trying to do. Russiagate 2.0.
Yeah, this is your
continually.
story here. I want to ask you about this as well. You being a victim, but go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, the Russian people are not our enemy. It's Cold War 2.0 as well. The whether it's anti-Soviet propaganda of generations past or this new Russophobia, it's disgusting. It's not the Russians responsible for the poverty, the police brutality, the segregation, the inequality, the alienation, everything that we feel from coast to coast in this country. But the warmongers need boogeymen and enemies the same way that the human lungs need oxygen. So one day they accuse the Venezuelans and the Zimbabweans and the Cubans and the Chinese. The next day it's the Russians and the Palestinians. And yeah, so that tweet there, I came back to the United States last week. I was at a peace conference in London with Ambassador Craig Murray, with Palestinian artists and activists and filmmakers. And then after London, I was in Greece. Then I was in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and East Timor, working with the global Palestinian family. And when you go country to country, there's about 200 countries in the world officially, whether you count Kosovo or South Sudan or not, 197, 198. And overwhelmingly, Nick, the 8 billion people of the world stand firmly with the Palestinian people. They understand the Palestinian anti-colonial, anti-genocide struggle is their struggle. But it's the ruling classes of the Middle East and the sellouts of Western Asia who continue to stand with Zionism. So when I came back in through Chicago en route to New York, my flight went through Tokyo. So I got in at about 4 o'clock, had a connecting flight. And, in that moment, you're not thinking like, oh, FBI's waiting on me. Department of Homeland Security is waiting on me. And I go up to the, first of all, you got to wait in that immigration line for hours. Then you get up there and all the dudes, it's just like Hollywood. It's these huge, intimidating dudes who probably look, something like I look or you look, and then dude's like super polite. Oh, I know you got a flight to catch. Oh, let me take care of you. Rodriguez, door number 1. And when he said door number 1, I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like a shortcut. And next thing you know, they open up this trap door that leads to like the pre-ICE detention center. There's probably 20, 30, 40 families and individuals. All of a sudden, they're taking people through there in handcuffs, all types of FBI agents with their vests on, Department of Homeland Security with their corny medallions hanging around their neck, and they're strutting around in 2s and 3s, intimidating and abusing people. So then they brought me in for 3 hours of questioning, confiscated my phone, confiscated my passport, confiscated my computer, confiscated everything. Took my phone and everything, who knows where, from what we can tell. My legal team, what they're saying is that they make entire copies of our phones. Of course, our protocol at Midwestern Marks and in the ACP is to already scrub, make sure there's no Telegram and Signal and the other apps that are the most important. But they can re-upload that stuff. They can do whatever they want. What they're trying to do now is association mapping. So if they can try to tie, this activist from the US was in Paris or was in Berlin, and this activist or organizer, of course, they're not using the word activist or organizer. We know the words that they're using, because for them, peace is terrorism. For them, Palestinian self-determination is their worst fear, and they've lost the narrative. So they don't want any of us who are resisting this genocide in the belly of the beast to be able to go and speak to the world. Just in the last 11 months, me and my family, we've been doxxed, we've been censored, shadow banned, virtually kicked off of Twitter. I lost my job at John Jay College of Criminal Justice as a professor of international affairs and South American and Caribbean studies. After 2 decades, not one student complained, all evaluations in check. So it's been, it's all out. It's all out censorship. I don't think the West has been this exposed,
it's so bad
since
now.
it's wild. It's wild. Who they coming for next? And of course, this chilling, this chilling suppression, it's meant to discourage us and to demoralize us and to further divide us. So it's important. Keep talking about Palestine. Keep doing everything we can to keep our eyes focused on Palestine. Any secondary, tertiary contradiction can wait. We'll deal with it in the future. It's all out against this G side.
Yeah, the merging between the police militia of the capitalist arm of our institution with the corporation side, where they merge together and they get people canceled, they get people fired because they're critical of the Zionist regime. This is textbook fascism. You're seeing the capitalist collaboration with this. And then not only do you have capitalist collaboration with fascism, you need a militia, you need a violent arm in order to enforce it.
Where this is all headed, because things are intensifying, we see now the all-out attacks on the West Bank, on all of occupied 48, all of occupied Palestine. They're trying to get to the point, Nick, where none of us can even say the word Hezbollah unless we're saying, something in terms of terrorism. And we can't even say the word Hamas. We can't even contextualize. I mean, I have a whole library here on the history of Palestine, in Syria, in the Middle East, and a history of anti-colonial struggle since 1948. They want to make sure none of these books can be talked about. So the threats against free speech, how do we reach out to bigger layers of our class to stand with us? Only the people can save the people. That was always our electoral or anti-electoral slogan in the Dominican Republic. Solo el pueblo puede salvar el pueblo. And right now, I mean, even family members of mine who are like completely reactionary and always made fun of me and called me a commie and a pinko, I'm a little older. Even those family members hit me up like, yo, this is disgusting. I never agreed with you. I think you're crazy. I don't know nothing about Palestine, but how are they doing this to you? So the mask is off. Like, no one believes this is a democracy, freedom of speech. And it's not Trump and the conservatives leading this. Liberalism is hegemony. I read this study, 75% of liberals trust the mass media versus Republicans, only 20% trust the mass media. I mean, that's a huge difference. And I think that's very, very telling. They got now Kamala Harris cashing in on all the identity politics so the liberals with their liberal tears can feel better about themselves. What's the difference between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden in terms of their actual concrete policies? It's genocide all day. It's a proxy war against the Ukrainian people, against the Russian people, throwing them into a meat grinder, a pro-NATO, pro-colonial meat grinder. And that's why they went after Scott Ritter. That's why they're going after Richard Medhurst, Sarah Wilkinson, Ambassador Craig Murray, who I had the honor to interview yesterday. So we got to stick together, because yesterday they came for Uhuru. A lot of people stayed quiet. Today they came for me. They could come for any of y'all who dares to raise your voice. Tomorrow, to quote Rosa Luxemburg, those of us who never move will never feel our chains. And now's the time to move, whether it's on social media, in the streets, hitting up people who you've never talked to about the Middle East. I mean, I would never approach my family. You don't really mix family with politics. But, with a Holocaust, that's why I draw the line.
Yeah. If you don't draw the line of genocide, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? And you brought up a lot of great points. And we in one of the main segments we'll get to later, I've seen a lot of MAGA pushback against Trump for his Zionist whoring. And that's unlike the Democrats, where you never see liberals ever question their team. The problem with these Republicans and honestly a lot of these poor white people is that they allow the culture war to influence them to vote against their interests. So we have a uniparty where both parties drive war and they drive conflict, but one of them like gay people. One of them don't like gay people. That's literally the difference. And you have these Yale-educated Republicans, George Bush, for example, very educated, and then he wants to win an election. All of a sudden, he starts talking like a Texan. All of a sudden, he changed his accent. Even though he grew up Ivy League, even though he had an educated accent, all of a sudden, he started talking like this. And all of a sudden, they started saying stuff they don't believe. Like, these Republicans, they are gay as hell. Look at Grindr during the Republican convention. These Republicans are obviously gay. Lindsey Graham, gay. They all went to drag shows. They don't give a fuck. The point I'm making is they don't give a fuck. They manipulate poor white people who hate people who look different than them, who live a different lifestyle than them, who would generally be on our side. But man, we can't let the libs win. And with the other side of the coin, you have Democrats that do the same thing as well. We have poor people who vote against their interests because they see people they see as bigots on the other side. It's a game they play, and that's why I don't generally go along with it, because as they play this culture war, both parties are driving the wheels of fascism. Now, we can get back to the main story because it's Uhuru. This will be the last thing I'm going to read on this, because I covered this a little bit yesterday as well, but I'm keeping a consistent coverage on this. We can't let this die. I am fearful for my brothers. They get in charge for 15 years, guys. And this is obviously a show trial. You know what they accuse Russia, North Korea, China of doing, having these show trials? This is a show trial. And I will come on stream and I will admit I'm wrong. And I will tell you guys how shocked I am if I report that they got off on this. Because obviously they're being set up. This is an obvious show trial. And I want nothing more than come on RB and admit that I was wrong on that. Because look at the basic arguments that the Uhuru 3 is forced to make, because they are being accused by the federal government, the Biden administration, of being Russian agents. Why? Because they support the movement of multipolarity, which we support on our end. They support having friendly relationships with Russia and China. So then they said, oh my God, Uhuru, Black Socialist Movement, we found email correlations with them in Moscow. So you're accusing them of being illegal Russian agents for having Russian friends? I have Russian friends. Guys, when you actually understand the argument the federal government is making here, you will realize this is the craziest story no one is covering. Now, let me read just a little bit of it here. I try to sum a lot of it up, but I'll read just a little bit here. In an opening statement, I think the Uhuru attorney said the group shared many goals of the Russian organization called the anti-globalization movement of Russia, but wasn't acting under the control of the nation's government. Do you guys see the shit they have to argue? How is supporting a movement against globalization and national unity, how does that make you a Russian agent? You guys see, and Danny, you knocked it out of the park when you said if you advocate for peace, you're an enemy. They are trying to tell you that these people are terrorists because they want peace and coexistence with people who live in countries that our ruling class don't like. And look at the argument that's, once again, very simple to make. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not true. The accusation of him being a Russian agent. This is a case about censorship. Anyone know the reason why they're pulling the plug on them? I explained this on the last show. Because they run local candidates that, quote unquote, the Democrats accuse them of spoiling local races in Florida, because just like RBN, they are a Marxist socialist organization. We believe in mutual aid. They do mutual aid. They do a lot of, they focus most of their time on activism, but as socialists and Marxists believe, they run candidates. Because we believe, and I would love to hear your perspective on this as well, Danny, to give the people a choice to vote for a socialist alternative. So we don't put stock into a revolution happening through electoral politics, but we're supposed to have socialist options and socialist parties that are challenging the establishment. So they engage in that practice as well. So that made the Democrat and the establishment go after them because they're truly disrupting the two-party system. The same thing they're doing to Joe Steinweiler lawsuits. But I think I can wrap the coverage up here because I'm gonna continue to cover this. I'm gonna show you the basic arguments that they're making. And they look, actually, I do want to look at it. They try to tie them with Russia meddling the election because they're accusing them of helping Russia meddle with the election because they're getting people to criticize Biden's Ukraine war. Now, Danny, I had a lot to say there. There was a lot to present, so I will pass it to you for any general thoughts. Anything else you want to share before I move on, Danny?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my favorite. I don't know how it works with YouTube. If I'll pass it over to you. But my favorite Omali Yeshitilla speech, which I've shared with thousands and thousands of students.
I'm down to watch it. I'm down to watch
it. Just make sure that you have the copyright or whatever. I mean, Omali Yeshitilla, if you like speeches, you ain't ready for this one. So Dead Prez, who I came up on, M1 and Stickman, they put an Omali Yeshitilla speech with a beat behind it. And just the eloquence, I'm sure you've heard it before. See what the copyright looks like.
Yeah, hopefully the beat doesn't get us in trouble.
I'm not sure how it works. That's why I kicked it your way instead of just impromptu sharing it on my end.
Yeah, they will find any reason to pull the string. I'm looking at it now, like, man, they got music on there and everything. I'm worried about as much as I would love to play this.
But don't play it if it's a risk. I have no idea how that works.
Trust me, I can find like Chairman Omali. He is absolute fire. Actually, maybe we can find something on Twitter. Because I'm down to show, Chairman. Anything else you want to add? I'm wondering if I can find something.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say to the chairman too. He was marching in D.C. against this U.S.-NATO proxy war on Russia and Russia's geopolitical interests last year. And on paper, he's probably like twice your age, Nick, and my age. But as you can see, he gets younger every day. This is a spring chicken for life. This is a warrior, and his people are warriors. So yeah, we all have to stand together. The cause of the Uhuru 3 is the cause of all of us.
Yeah, we had him on RBN multiple times, and he's just an intellectual titan. Someone who's not only well read, but you can tell that his intellect comes from decades of experience and being in the struggle. It's literally next level shit. Like, it's something that you can only accomplish once you walk in them shoes and put in the intellectual work at the same time. I literally have no idea what he says in this speech here. I just want to show you guys them speaking. So I'm sure he's cooking here. I'm going to read the description. And I guess we watched this blind, I guess. Chairman Omali. I don't know how to say his last name. That's why I don't want to butcher it. Chairman Omali. Yeshitilla. You guys know I'm not a great linguist, but I try. On why they attacked us. Reparations and the capture of political power. Let's listen to it. I haven't read it, but I haven't seen it, but I'm interested.
But our objective for building the coalition was to consolidate as many of these forces from around the world, from around the African world, to unity with the objective of becoming a self-governing people. With the moving from this whole anti-racism politic that doesn't lead to anything concrete to an anti-colonial politic that could only be satisfied with the achievement, the acquisition of political and economic power over our own lives. So that's who we are, what we do, and why this government would attack us. And that's why they would attack.
I'm sorry, but that hit so hard, bro. I told you I haven't seen this. That was fire. Do you guys know what he just said? He said we need to drop the anti-racism politics that haven't gotten us anywhere, calling out the liberal identity politics. He said we need to replace the anti-racism with anti-colonial, which is such a great point because a lot of these liberals claim to be anti-racist, but they're not anti-colonial. But anyway, I'll let you continue. I just thought that was a great point. You remember, I'm seeing this blind for the first time, so that was just great.
To anything concrete, to an anti-colonial politic that could only be satisfied with the achievement, the acquisition of political and economic power over our own lives. So that's who we are, what we do, and why this government would attack us. And that's why they would attack the whole Black movement, the revolution of the 1960s, that was about anti-colonialism, that was about Black Panthers, that was about revolutionary, the Republic of New Africa. That was about the Nation of Islam. I'm talking about the original Nation of Islam. I'm talking about all of these organizations that spoke to what? To being a free and independent people, not subservient to any foreign entity that has imposed itself on our lives, that what has happened to Africa. So
does this sound like someone who is a Russian agent who is spreading Russian? No, this is the ideology of Black liberation fighters. This is why we argue that integration, liberal capitalist integration, was a mistake. We should have pursued our own sovereignty. Anyway, I'll let it continue. This is a great speech.
And that's the thing, that all of our practice is involved in that. And that's not true of everybody, and we understand that. And it doesn't even give us that much of a problem. If you join this movement based on your appreciation for our position on reparations, or our position, and that's our last name, by the way. I want to say the last name of this organization is Reparations. And I'm saying this in part because the United States government said the Russians told us to go out and do work around reparations. And this is the name, and that's also an indication of what the implication of this charge against what they would like to believe is me and the Uhuru 3 is an attack on the African liberation movement that has the audacity to talk about reparations, to talk about we want to be paid for everything you stole from us with interest, right? Because the country and the economy cannot tolerate a successful demand for reparations. In fact,
so that was a great speech and a great way to wrap this segment. Just for a second time, because I can rant on this all day. We're 30 minutes in, so I want to pivot. This is what this shows the direction that obviously the liberal class was going, right? Instead of having policies that the people appreciate, they're just going to revive Russiagate. So before I continue, I want to get Danny in here because I know there was a lot I presented again. I'll pass it to you. Anything you want to add? Any introductions to this Russiagate? This is Russiagate, what, 6.0? 7.0? I used to make jokes like, it's Russiagate 2.0. Now we're up to like 7.0, guys. I think this joke is getting old. But Danny, go ahead if you want to chime in before I continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly disgraceful. These liberals are desperate with their Russia phobia. They can't take responsibility for abandoning us, less jobs, less opportunities across America every day. So they want to scapegoat. But to quote the greatest of the greatest, Muhammad Ali, no Vietnamese ever insulted me, which is not a direct translation, but Nick can say it better than me, and no.
That quote shaped my politics. I'm not bullshit. I tell people all the time, like, as a martial artist, there are two fighters that had influence on me more than anyone else. I know it's what everyone says, but Muhammad Ali and Anderson Silva, those two are the fucking men. Muhammad Ali, in terms of ideology, because when he said Viet Cong never called me, I'm not gonna say for monetization purposes, that stuck with me. And that was like the basis of my anti-imperialism from the very beginning. But go ahead, Danny, you can finish your thought. I just love that you invoked that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I actually published a tribute to Teofilio Stevenson that I can maybe show later. He was the Cuban boxing champion. He was actually supposed to fight Muhammad Ali. They offered him $2 million, which in the mid 1970s, 2 million was even more than 2 million today. And Teofilio Stevenson said, "What's $2 million to go fight in Madison Square Garden? I got the love of more than 2 million Cubans." So I would put the Cuban heavyweight champion Teofilio Stevenson right up there with Muhammad Ali. But you said something earlier, the poor white, that's where I come from, balls to the wall, down and out, poor whites trying to escape, where we came from. And I wrote a piece because all these identity politics type people deceiving the people. I wrote a piece about the poor white called "The Liberal White versus the Poor White." To the liberal roadblocks of history, we, the white hot blaze, say the poor white then is the spur on the liberal's conscience, the all too real refraction of his timidity. The poor white is a threat, covetous, carnivorous, balls to the wall. He has nothing to lose. The liberal will go to jail for the cause as long as he's out by dinner time. The poor white was born in jail. The liberal will experiment with drugs and then laugh about it. The poor white, we've smoked, snorted, gambled away, and drank every last potion just to get through the day. The liberal has everything to lose. The poor white has everything to gain. The liberal is guided by fear. The poor white by resentment. So I got a whole piece that I wrote on that. All this lumping quote unquote white people together is bullshit. So, you know, Dr. Cornel West said it. He said, we got to go to Trump country. The enemy is Trump, the clown. But we can't discard these millions and millions of Americans who they hate Hillary Clinton, rightfully so. They just don't know there's another option. They don't know there's an RBN and there's a Midwestern Marx and there's an ACP and there's a DD geopolitics. And we're not going to get caught up in these cultural wars, which have alienated so many of our people. One of my favorite pieces we should break down one day. Lenin had this piece where he breaks down sex politics and why the petty bourgeoisie always elevates the sex politics to divide workers as they descend the class politics. So he's in dialogue with the historic Bolshevik Clara Zetkin, and he goes off. I mean, it reads like it's 2024 in the streets of the Bronx or Harlem, the way Lenin is writing with all of his swag and pizzazz. So it's definitely a piece that I hope this generation can study.
Yeah, and I have so many of these MAGA right-wing types who follow me on Twitter because they see my criticism of the Democrat Party, they see me as being patriotic, and they like, oh well, I didn't know socialism, leftism was like you. I would be supportive of you. There's so many right-wingers who told me that. So many of these white dudes who told me that. That's why the biggest mystery to me is why a lot of these poor white people who were left behind by the empire, our empire stole trillions from the global south. They was left poor and white, and I always trying to reach them like, why are you enabling and voting against your interests in order to uphold a system that left you poor and powerless? And then when we advocate for our community, they feared socialism and communism, ignoring that your system that you champion, capitalism, is will let you poor. So that's why it's very important to reach out. I am all for reaching out and trying to elevate class consciousness as much as possible. It is something that's extremely confusing when you see people consistently vote for these fat cats that obviously don't have their best interests at heart. I want to show you guys this as well. Anything else you want to add, Danny, before I move on? I want to show you guys.
Free America to free Palestine. The left, quote unquote left, the liberal left is not going to free Palestine. We can march in circles all day.
I agree.
Around the White House and around 42nd Street, Times Square. And that's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But we're not reaching everyday Americans. If we don't go to the heartland, to our families, to our people, Palestine is going to be exterminated, because now they're going after the West Bank. They've been going after the West Bank. They've been going after all of Palestine for 76 long genocidal years. So it's incumbent upon us. It's our historical responsibility to step up. Whatever we're doing now, 11 months in, you know, I've had a lot of disillusionment, Nick, and you and a lot of people have been witnesses that this left of ours, which I've really dedicated my life to, 30 years in the left. But they've just turned their backs on workers and poor whites, and they think they're better than everybody with their cancel culture, petty bourgeois, divide over this, divide over that, putting tertiary and fourth and fifth level contradictions as though they're the primary contradiction. And then you wonder why so many people are disgusted by you and don't relate to you. So it's time for a new vibe. It's time for a new aesthetic. I'm impressed. I admire this new generation, Haas and Infrared and the Gorillas and Midwestern Marx. You know, I consider myself their number one student, and it's really the left that recruited me to the ACP. You know, it's the left that pushed me into the ACP. It's one thing to get canceled once, you know, maybe that helped me, and of course it did. But by the 15th time and the 16th time and the 17th time that you get canceled, it just becomes corny. You know, and that's one thing. Like, I can't tell you I was hurt that the FBI harassed me and interrogated me. That's what they do. That's why they get their $200,000 salaries to walk around like big man on campus. These wannabe jocks who were cut from the football team, you know, they want to go bully some Yemeni mothers and some Iraqis displaced. Why? Three wars, 3 Western wars in Iraq since 1980. Unfettered destruction. What did they do to Syria? What did NATO do to Libya? The economic sabotage and the economic terrorism and sanctions against Iran. And then they out here talking about these migrants. These migrants are that's the big thing in New York City. Everyone, the Venezuelan migrants. The Venezuelan migrants will steal your wallet. Well, there's 8 million Venezuelans, about 1/3, 1/4 of the country of 30 million, who are refugees of what? Of imperialism. There's a full-scale U.S. hybrid war against Venezuela. And it's amazing as that hybrid war intensifies, the liberal left support of Venezuela dwindles. Do you see a dialectical contradiction in that? Shame on these people out here like AOC talking about they're progressive. They're regressive. There are many words I cannot say on stream, but it's infuriating. So, you know, I was in there with these FBI agents and they acting all tough and they try to intimidate you. And then when you won't give them the information they want, they leave you there. They try to isolate you. They try to intimidate you. They tell you they're not going to release you. But it's crazy. It's like a legal dead zone because when you're in customs, you can't invoke your constitutional rights. They would not give me a phone call. They would not give me access to my legal team. So this is an important lesson for all of us. But really, that's not the part that hurt me. The part that hurt me is all these different quote unquote leftists who turn their back on so many of us who are going through this type of persecution. And if we can't count on quote unquote our own comrades, and I've had to put that word in comrades in quotation marks after so many years of disillusionment.
Yeah, and I share your same opinion of the left. That's the only reason I even got in this space. The only reason why RBN even exists is because there was so much disillusionment, especially when it came to the failure of the CIA-funded social democrat movement in the United States. I watched my entire life the professional managerial class left lead workers off a cliff, push just cancel culture, push workers not coming together. And that's why I went very hard at the people who criticized the Rage Against the War Machine rally with all the imperfections, because we should be encouraging people of like mind who want to resist war and empire to come together and form coalitions to solve issues. I am a problem solver. I'm a Marxist. Marxists are builders. We want to build stuff. We want to create movements, and we want to build. You want to know what the biggest criticism I get, Danny? Nick, how dare you have Jimmy Dore on? How dare you have Haas on? How dare you have people that you disagree with on some things and have conversations with them and build? So I don't know if people want like an echo chamber, if they want me to only talk to people I agree with 100% of the time. But I am someone who enjoys conversation. I believe I am very influential, and I want to build. I want to build and create a movement of people who want to destroy the duopoly. And we can talk through our disagreements and we can educate each other. That's why I advocate for, and that's my biggest sin, according to some people. Yo, you had this person on, you're done. I can't say you had this person on. Fuck off. Don't care. Because this is the left that I'm sure you're talking about, the inefficient left who viewed being a radical as whoever is the most liberal. Whoever repeats Democrat liberal propaganda the most, and that's why ADL was taken off guard by RBN. They're not used to an intellectually serious left that is militant, that studies history and theory like you guys do as well. I do want to pivot though, because I don't want to take too much of your time today. I want to do a hard pivot. I was about to show this video, but this video just Russiagate bullshit. And pretty much them talking about how the Biden administration is accusing Russia of influencing the 2024 election. Not that really that important. It's just boring CNN shit. So I'm gonna move ahead to Trump, and I found actually one more thing I gotta say on this story, because I just had to show you this receipt. Looking at my notes here, as they accuse, as the Biden administration is accusing Russia of mailing an election. I just had to bring up the obvious. I have a banger tweet under Jim Acosta's tweet pushing Russiagate. As liberal push Russiagate, we have AIPAC that openly brags about rigging our elections. $100 million spent in 2024 elections. They bragged about, it was a few months ago, how 90 out of the 90 of the Democratic primaries was won by AIPAC candidates. Sniping progressives in the squad like it's their job. Meanwhile, people think it's a good idea to build within the Democratic Party. We have the corrupting fascist influence known as AIPAC. So I just want to bring this up because it just debunks. I don't know how anyone can push the Russia bullshit, especially when you have the immense amount of Israeli influence in our government. I want to give you last word. I want to make sure I get to the Trump segment before we wrap up, because that's the main story. So anything else you want to add to this before I move on, Danny?
No, I mean, your critique of what my comrade Carlos Garrido, it was him and Noah and Eddie and Kyle and the whole crew who won me over. Those who haven't read this book by Carlos, The Purity Fetish and the Crisis of Western Marxism, should check this out. This is an amazing book. Just put it up there for a sec. I don't know if people can see it, but and that's what this book is saying. Like, our people are never going to be pure like these liberal petty bourgeois leftists want. And in Cuba, you know, Cuba's fighting through hunger and a starvation campaign, and you got these liberal leftists in Cambridge and Berkeley talking shit about Cuba. They're just trying to survive another day. Venezuela's in the you know, in the crosshairs of empire. So anyone who hasn't checked out this book, hopefully, I don't know if I can share my screen as a guest. Hopefully,
yeah, I'll put it up early. I'll put up.
Perfect. Perfect. And then you mentioned an important point. I mean, the siloization of the left, the siloization of the American people. They have us in our own little echo chambers. That's the first thing I noticed on October 7th and October 8th. Because in the old days, in the quote unquote good old days, when you went at Zionism, you had all types of Zionists coming up talking all types of smack. And I noticed on October 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, it was like they were nowhere to be found because they were over in their lane. So it was us in this part of the movement, or the left, or the Marxists, whatever you want to say, even to get to the liberals, to the people. So the censorship, they've really perfected it. You know, when I go on, they destroyed my Twitter account on October 20th when they doxed me. But even when I go on X now, it's all Elon Musk telling me to vote for Trump. 3-4 posts by Elon Musk. It's the straight dictatorship. We now live in a world where the 6 richest billionaires in the world, just those 6 individuals, possess more wealth than half of humanity, more wealth than 4 billion individuals. We have to keep fighting and keep fighting and keep finding more people's soldiers. Our very survival depends on it.
Yeah, very well said. And we can discuss this topic all day, but I'm going to do a hard pivot just for the sake of time, because I don't want to keep you super, super long, but I definitely need to cover this because I'm on RBN. We're very clear that we live under 2 wings of the empire who just have differences on culture war shit. That's literally mostly what it is. We have 2 parties that are hardcore Zionists. You have, just like the last few decades, the foreign policy of the president will not change between these puppets in a suit. That's why I'm always very confused when people try to pretend that Trump was an outside fighter when he was one of the biggest Zionist puppets that we have seen. And now we have the Make Israel Great Again movement that essentially is a group of Christian Zionists, because Zionism, the number one driver of Zionism is Christianity. So you have the Christian right, which supports Zionism, and they're the most pathetic, most cuck-like motherfuckers in the world, because the MAGA right, they are against healthcare. generally national single-payer healthcare systems, but they support Americans sending their taxpayer money to a state that provides healthcare to their people. Do you guys understand the problem here? So I've been asking right-wingers this my entire life. Why is it okay for Israelis to have socialism, to have healthcare, but we are supposed to finance the healthcare of Israelis? Is that because you believe they're a God-chosen people or something? It's literally a pathetic ideology of Americans who rather give money to Israelis. Like, they donate to AIPAC. They're okay with our taxpayer being funded and subsidizing Israeli healthcare, but they will fight viciously against it for their own people. These are the kind of traitors that we see from Zionists from both the left and the right. And now, as people trying to pretend that Trump is this deep state fighter, you have pro-Israeli donors that openly buying them off. He is a puppet of the Aldersons, the giant Zionist family. This is the quote-unquote anti-establishment right wing that is forming, that people expect to take on. And I'm looking at all the idiot right wingers on Twitter, all the blue checks. They believe that, oh my God, the MAGA movement is coming to rid the world of the globalists because we're too afraid to call it out as capitalism. We're going to destroy the globalists that we enable the Zionist project. So here's the Trump team that everyone's excited about. Here, RFK. You guys know RFK Jr. Big supporter of the Zionist genocide regime. Also now supported Trump. Surprise, surprise. Also Tulsi Gabbard, she's a big fan of the Zionist regime. This is apparently the quote-unquote MAGA Justice League. I don't know if you guys seen those cringe tweets and commentary. We got the MAGA super team together to rid the world of the globalists as they wine and dine with the biggest swamp monsters known to men. The genocidal terrorists who want to rob you of your free speech rights, the Zionists. So with that said, before I get in this clip, I want to pass it to you for general thoughts before we continue, because Trump gave this interview with this guy. I don't remember his name, but this Levin guy, one of the most craziest motherfuckers you see on TV. He is so crazy. He's banned on RBN. You guys know I cover some propaganda. He is so crazy, I don't even bother with him. He has a cartoonish show where he supports wars everywhere. He hates poor people. He believes that anyone who don't support Israel should be censored. Like, he is as hardcore as extremist as we get. But before I dive into the video, I just want to pass you, Danny, because I know I ran a lot. Danny, anything you want to add before I continue my presentation?
That's why they so covetously protect their propaganda, because if there's any chink in the armor, if there's any opening, if there's any breach, the entire mask falls off and people can begin to wake up. Again, I'm telling you, some of the most hardcore Trumpites are hitting me up like, yo, I stand with you. This is bullshit. FBI jamming you up. They're trying to intimidate you. So I feel like we're at a historical juncture where people are ready. They've had us divided over abortion rights and over trans rights, and they got us divided over LGBTQ ideology and all this stuff. And that's why I appreciate so much you all's Marxist ideological take, because it's one of unity. I'm sick of the petty bourgeois liberal left leading us in a direction of sectarianism, acting like they're better than everyday people when they haven't been through what we've been through. If they've never been hungry, if they've never been true workers, if they've never been down and out, if they've never picked up their family members from the concrete after an overdose, who are they to act like they're the leaders of a working class movement? They never worked a day in their lives. Exactly. It's disgraceful. So we need a new direction if we want true change in this country.
Yeah, very well said. I'm gonna get to this video. Feel free to interrupt anytime. I don't know why I always promise this, but I'm gonna try to let this play because this is brutal, bro. I'm gonna take a smoke break. That will help me shut me up, because this is gonna be hard to get through. I'm gonna let the first minute play, because the first minute he talks about Iran, and I'm gonna show you guys that for a reason. I'm gonna show you guys his hawkish ideology on Iran, which is not true. I think you guys can see through a lot of this bullshit, which is why I'm gonna try not to stop it that much in the beginning. But listen, where Donald Trump, this interview, he is so crazy. MAGA the people you talking about, Danny, even they started turning on him after this interview. Now, this is where, and this is why I'm doing this segment. This is why I go so hard at MAGA. Now is the time, Danny, my friends, for us to put pressure on MAGA, because there are a lot of people in MAGA that talk a good game, and I know exactly what you're talking about. There are a lot of people that they're more critical of Trump than liberals will ever be of the Democratic Party. I just don't trust them. I think they're going to cave. So now is the time for us to put pressure on these people so they can live up to their principles. But I think people in chat tell me shut up. All right, so I'll let the video play. My bad.
Never got in. We decapitated the enemy of Iran. Now Iran essentially, it's like a subsidiary of Iran, but they have hundreds of billions of dollars. 4 years ago, Iran had no money. They had no money for any of these terrorist organizations. So they had no money so they could attack Israel. Now they have a lot of money. Iran has almost $300 billion. They've got Iraq that has almost $300 billion. It's a lot of money. And they made it in 3.5 years. Iran made all this money in 3.5 years. People couldn't buy oil from them. They weren't allowed by me. And I'm not looking to be enemies with Iran. I'd love to get along with them, great, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. Just can't let them have a nuclear weapon. I'll say this, if they do have a nuclear weapon, Israel is gone. It'll be gone. Israel is under tremendous pressure right now. It's amazing. If you go back 15 years or even less, the strongest lobby in that sense in the United States was Israel. You couldn't say a thing about Israel, Christian or Jew. You couldn't say anything about today. It's like under siege. You look at AOC +3, you look at these people, the way they talk about it. And then you see Schumer, who's become a Palestinian, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's actually become like a Hamas agent.
This motherfucker got a script directly from AIPAC and read it like a good little boy. This is Donald Trump. This is by it's a lie, by the way. We just showed how AIPAC is spending record money. The Israeli lobby as active as ever. But I'll pass to you for your reaction. But hearing Trump literally saying it, wishing there was more Israeli lobbying. But go ahead, Danny. And I will play that part again. But go ahead, Danny.
You know, I've worked closely, not in the sense that I receive money, but I've worked as an organizer with the Iranians for some, decades. And this whole thing about they have $300 billion, that's pure projection from his own wealth. He himself is worth $8 billion. Iran is a country that's been under attack since its 1979 revolution, the same year that there was the Sandinista revolution. By no means was the Islamic Iranian revolution perfect. No revolution is. Every revolution has its excesses, but it certainly surged from deep within the anguish of the anti-colonial Iranian people. There was also a lot of suppression of the left in the 80s. That's something we should look at closely. Israel and the U.S. have had a nuclear monopoly in the Middle East. And whether it's Tweedledee Trump or Tweedledum Kamala, is the same enemy. It's the same Zionist politics. And, the way they continue to paint Israel as the victim, if they had the 3 Israeli occupying soldiers killed in Jenin the other day, and in every Western paper, 3 Israeli white heroes. I mean, they might as well have been angels, right? Not agents of apartheid, ethnic cleansing, and a G-side. Meanwhile, this whole number of 42, 43, 44,000 Palestinians killed is bogus. That doesn't include all the children. Our comrade Libre from the Troika Nation. Everyone should check out the Troika Collective out of Miami. Our brother Libre has been over there in Gaza, risking his life to get out reports, along with our comrades from Telesur and RT all the way down the line. And to say that the Israelis and the Americans are the victims in the Middle East, I mean, the American people cannot be this blind. We have to continue to set up every stream, every conference. We have to make some type of alliances with different quote unquote right-wing talk show hosts, if we can find those breaches to speak to our people, because the American people are not that stupid. Why do they want, they understand that the U.S. has treated Israel not as the 51st state, but as the first state parked dead in the middle of where? Of the Middle East. Why? Because it's one of the richest areas on earth. Where are the resource richest places on earth, Nick? Russia, South America, the Middle East, and of course there's others, but those three regions. And that's why the U.S. and the quote-unquote collective West, which is an anti-collective West, have established economic and military supremacy in these areas. They're afraid of any resistance from Caracas to La Habana, to Tehran, to La Paz, to Managua, to Beijing. You know, we need to be the multipolar expression within empire to join up with humanity in a common crusade, an anti-colonial, anti-genocide, anti-imperialist crusade.
Very well said, as always, Danny. I want to play this part again. Trump laments the fact that he falsely thinks that the Zionist lobby is unable to censor Americans. He even names Christians. I told you guys, Christian Zionists are the biggest cucks on this planet. Trump here laments the fact. Remember, he said back in the day, even Christians was afraid of questioning the Israeli lobby, and he says it's like it's a good thing. I'll play it again. It gets even crazier. You guys saw how he mentioned Chuck Schumer. He called him a Hamas supporter, even though he's a diehard supporter of the genocide. So what are you implying? What will make someone anti-Hamas for you? Like, what else? How much more loyal to Israel can you ask someone to be than what Chuck Schumer is? Anyway, I'll let it continue.
If you go back 15 years or even less, the strongest lobby in that sense in the United States was Israel. You couldn't say a thing about Israel, Christian or Jew. You couldn't say anything about
He admits that even Jewish people are suppressed by the scourge of Zionism. He admits that Christians can't talk out. This is the ideology you guys support, MAGA? This is pathetic. And I'm going to show you guys how MAGA is not vibing with this, which is why we got to put pressure to make sure these people don't fold because they're afraid of the transgender's bathrooms or something. But anyway, let's continue.
Today, it's like under siege. You look at AOC +3, you look at these people, the way they talk about it. And then you see Schumer, who's become a Palestinian, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's actually become like a Hamas agent.
Bruh.
Schumer, how did that happen?
Let me ask you about that.
Bro, he bailed Trump out here. I noticed that when I first watched it. At this point, Levin is as crazy as it comes, but even he's like, bro, whoa, down the back a little bit, bro. So that's a reporter bailing a politician out. They do it all. He's like, bro, you got to calm down, bro. You call Chuck Schumer Hamas, bro, tone it down a little bit. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, Daddy.
No, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. No spoiler alert. Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's continue it.
He's become a Palestinian, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's actually become like a Hamas agent. Schumer, how did that happen?
Let me ask you about that.
You cut them off.
You see the outbreak of anti-Semitism in our streets.
Yep.
That wasn't happening when you were president, but
it didn't happen when I was president.
But you signed an executive order extending the Civil Rights Act to cover Jewish students and their free speech, which Jewish students are using now to defend themselves in these Ivy League colleges. You see what's going on the streets. Do you think this administration, they give a speech here and there. Do you think they've done enough to fight this? Because colleges are opening now and they're saying it's going to happen again and it's going to get worse and people are running for their lives and they're hiding and so forth. When you see that, what do you think?
Well, it's getting worse. I just see Cornell is a hotbed right now. Today, all of what's happening up there.
He's advocating for the censorship of Americans, by the way. The free speech right.
So right now, it's a little bit early, but as colleges are starting to open, Cornell was the occasion, it looks like it's worse than ever. And they don't respect this administration. It's very simple. The power that you have with all of the endowments and everything else, the big tax breaks that they get, you have tremendous powers. But the heads of these schools seem like either they're weak and pathetic or they're sort of Marxists themselves.
Bro, this is why I call Trump supporters shit libs. This is the same segment we showed you guys for Morning Joe. Donald Trump sounds exactly like the social justice warrior shit lib that MAGA has been mocking for years, that we mock, that I mock for being frauds. He is a shit lib. There is no distance from these parties other than how they frame cultural issues. I'll let it continue.
Let me
Big
jump in.
tax
Let me,
breaks are big.
Go ahead. Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Yeah, let me just give it to you from the streets because I was camped out at Columbia University. I was once upon a time in the 90s a scholarship student, basketball player. I had my whole boxing career here in New York City that started off when I was in undergrad at Columbia. And so I was camped out there. I was camped out at City College of New York as well. And CNN came and Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, every politician came to set up their press conferences that they're going to suppress the anti-Semitism. The anti-Semitism is out of control. Of course, there was no anti-Semitism. And CNN comes and CNN interviews us and interviews the student leaders in the Atlantic and the conservative media and the liberal media. And no matter what we said, no matter how many times we said, I mean, I did 10-minute interviews, 30-minute interviews with Fox, with CBS. And all they were looking for was one thing. Could they twist anything to make any of us look anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic? It was pathetic. And they would never use any of the footage because they couldn't do it. And then they would go and have their press conferences talking about we're fighting against anti-Semitism. And that is the agenda of the weapons manufacturers and of the imperialists. That's the weapon that they're using now. You know, to quote the Palestinians, these are truly, truly sick, you know, individuals. It's our historical responsibility to step up, you know, in solidarity with the 15 million people of Palestine and of the diaspora. And a lot of the Palestinian leadership who I've talked to for months and years, you know, it's not that they're going to vote for Trump, obviously, but they are dialecticians and they understand as students of Leila Khaled and students of George Habash and this incredible legacy of resistance, which soon enough we can't even teach on. That's why I was fired for teaching you know, the truth about 76 years of resistance. They're going to ban the word resistance. They've banned slogans on Twitter. We can't use the word you know.
Well, you got fired essentially for critical race theory. That's what they call critical race theory whenever you talk about imperialism, essentially. But go ahead, Danny.
Nah, it's crazy. But in London, the Palestinians were saying, you know, it's not that we're obviously going to support Trump in any way, but a Trump victory. Trump is so clumsy. In that interview, you pointed it out. He's highlighting the supremacy of the Zionist lobby in a way he's not supposed to articulate. He makes the Zionists so nervous. He makes the ruling class doesn't hate Trump for the reasons that we hate Trump. He's a billionaire. Absolutely. He's a racist. They hate him because he throws into danger this system. Kamala Harris, because liberalism is hegemony, represents the stabilization, the continuity of capitalism, Zionism, white supremacy, imperialism. But the white supremacist himself, and he'll proudly talk about it, he won't even deny it, the Christian nationalist himself, who's probably going to be, I can't see him losing on November 5th, but from a dialectical point of view, it appears that if he wins, you know, because he might just go meet with Kim Jong-un for a third time because he wakes up and feels like it. And the ruling class doesn't want that. They need to demonize and demonize. They want a war on China. They want to continue the war. He said he's going to end that war with Putin in 24 hours. So they're trying to pass right now before he can get elected $100 million. $100 million is nothing. $100 billion package for the next 10 years to keep the anti-Russia NATO-US war going.
What a banger. What a great breakdown as always, Danny. It's great to have you on. I'm going to continue this. I rewinded a little bit for context. Man, this interview is really something else. So let's continue. There's going to be much more to say.
Now, it's a little bit early, but as colleges are starting to open, Cornell was the occasion, it looks like it's worse than ever. And they don't respect this administration. It's very simple. You know, the power that you have with all of the endowments and everything else, the big tax breaks that they get, you have tremendous powers. But the heads of these schools seem like either they're weak and pathetic or they're sort of Marxists themselves fascist, Marxist.
Isn't
One of the
the
people,
messaging
one of
from
the
capitalists that Marxists and communists are the ones who are against free speech? So Trump is accusing the universities of being secret Marxists because they support free speech too much. Because they are upset because the campus universities won't shut down the protest. So apparently, Danny, and this is such a glorious W Trump gave us, that he made it clear that if you support free speech, you support the Marxist and communist cause. And I can't even say he's lying. But anyway, let's continue.
professors was on from Cornell today, and he was talking about how the head people at the school are almost encouraging the students to destroy the place. It was actually an amazing statement. You think, I could see them cowering in a corner, but I can't see that they're actually helping it. And it's shocking when you look at Columbia from last year, but it looks like it's going to get very bad, actually. It looks like it's going to get very bad. It's a little bit early yet. The season's just beginning. Schools are starting to open up. Most of them haven't opened yet, but the ones that have, it's nasty. It's nasty. And the government does nothing about it.
Would you consider federal funds?
What should the government do, Trump? I guess he's about to ask him. I haven't got this far in the interview, to be clear. I think I rage quit when I was scouting for segments. I think I rage quit at this point. Anything you want to add, Dane, before I continue, though?
Yeah, I published a piece at Black Agenda Report about being camped out there because it was the spirit being camped out at Columbia. Look,
I love you sharing your experience. I'd love to hear it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I clearly don't represent Columbia University in any way. I represent that $100,000 I continue to owe them with Joe Biden's phony, loan forgiveness bullshit that somehow had so many loopholes. Most of us never qualified. But being camped out there every night, NYPD helicopters hovering real low, it's tough to sleep. They got the drones 24/7. 1 minute we would have, some Jewish poetry, some Yiddish land, some lessons in Yiddish and Yiddish songs. And then next thing you know, there'd be a Palestinian dance. And then Dr. Norman Finkelstein would come visit us. It was nothing but love. It was a carnival of liberation. The mainstream media was never going to report the truth there. The name Chuck Schumer came up, so I'll just tell a quick Chuck Schumer anecdote. I was at a graduation at CUNY at the City University of New York. This is a few years back. And for whatever reason, one of the professors left, and, the professors sit up on stage facing the students who are graduating. So there's an empty seat up there, and the keynote speaker is always Chuck Schumer. He gives the same corny, speech. And I don't know how, but he comes and sits right next to me, and he's trying to be, like that cool type of politician. So he's trying to crack these jokes to me. And I'm just like, I'm looking over at a few of the anti-imperialist colleagues of mine, like, how did this dude end up sitting next to me? But with Trump, he's definitely got some good speech writers and stuff. As dumb as he is, the stuff's not even coherent. I mean, to say that the presidents of the Ivy League, the most ruling class institutions of the ruling class, are Marxists. So there's been a secret Marxist communist conspiracy for decades in the Ivy League where it costs $80,000 per student to go. I mean, this is so out there. My cousins, my family members, my siblings, if I can send this interview to them, like, how dumb do they think we are? But the speech writing is good. AOC +3. He always comes up with them little bangers, He's an actor. He's a professional actor. He comes out of television. So what he's done is sold this image, Nick, like he's going to come sit down with us in Cincinnati or Cleveland with Noah and have a beer with us. He don't give a fuck about us. The only thing he would ever have to do with me, Noah, Eddie, you, any of the comrades, if we were his gardener, his bodyguard, or his chauffeur, or a tutor for his Coney Baroness son, or whatever his name is.
Very well said. I think, and I'm very unimpressed by Trump, but he's the best among the ruling class. What does that say about our ruling class? Trump is very cringe to me, but he runs circles around our ruling class because he engaged in the same action as them. He's no different than them. He's just better at playing the game. He's the best among scumbags. I don't think he's good as Obama. I think Obama is the GOAT. Like, in terms of fucking evil politicians who got a lot of evil done for the empire, no one will ever be as good as Obama. That motherfucker was the Michael Jordan of what the neoliberal establishment need. But Donald Trump run laps around these motherfuckers. But look how incoherent he is to us. That just show how far gone our system ultimately is. I think I've rage quit at this point. I'm gonna play this one more segment of this. I want to ask you to wrap our stream up about the American Communist Party as well. I'm interested in hearing your perspective about that. So we will wrap our stream with that. I'm watching this just for my own personal interest. I watched like 3 minutes of this. I quit. It's probably like, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah, I got to show you guys the reactions because you mentioned it earlier, like, and there are a lot of people who mention this, and I see the trend. I know exactly what you guys mean by this when you guys say that MAGA is not for this, but they are, but they're not, because I see a lot of MAGA people that are starting to question the Zionist project. Like, obviously, the Candace Owens, obviously, the hard white supremacist wing, like Nick Fuentes, a lot of these people who question the Zionist project. So there's a big constituency in MAGA. The only problem I have with them, because they're essentially like squad supporters. They're like Justice Democrats who say they're for good things, but at the end of the day, they support people who are completely contrarian to their ideology. That's why I don't really take them that seriously, because it doesn't matter if you say, oh, I'm a Christian Zionist. I'm a Christian who opposes Zionism. That doesn't matter if you still support Donald Trump. It's like Tucker Carlson. I'm not impressed by Tucker Carlson because Tucker would do great coverage of Israel Palestine, but he's a Trump supporter. So, okay, what does that actually mean? It's the same thing as being a socialist who supports the Justice Democrats. Yeah, you say you support socialism, but what does that actually mean? But this interview and shit I've seen recently, I am seeing the big names starting to peel away. So we watched one more clip. I'm gonna show you guys just a few. We're not spending a lot of time on it. I just want to give you guys the general theme of it, and then I'm gonna ask you about the American Communist Party because I'm interested in hearing your perspective from it. So let's watch one more clip of this, just out of my curiosity.
Nothing about it.
Would you consider federal funds that go into these schools?
Yeah, you have tremendous power over those schools.
It seems to me we blackmail institutions all the time with federal funds. The Democrats do too, but not here. They just seem to have wide berth to go for it.
Well, also speech. I mean, you're not allowed to, if you're Jewish and talking about a positive Jewish event, or whoever you may be, or if you're conservative even, you can't, they won't let you speak. So I wrote out an order, a very strong order, and everybody went and spoke. But that doesn't mean they love it. We put a big order that they have to pay massive penalties if they don't let conservatives speak. Mm-hmm. We did a lot.
Right, so he dodged his question. I was very interested in hearing his question, him answer the question, but it seems like he dodged it because Levin's question was crazy. He like, man, come on, man. We bribe people all the time. You know, they using their capitalist, thuggish power in order to bend institutions to their will. He's like, come on, man, we bribe people all the time to rob people of their rights. Why can't we just fucking force the schools to shut down people's free speech rights? And Trump luckily dodged that question, bro. And there's no doubt in my mind that he supports that, but at least he's smart enough not to say it. I'll finish his thought and then we can get to your final comments.
Not for Jewish people, because we were able to, turn that tide, but now it's turning back. And Biden does nothing. How a Jewish person can vote for a Democrat, but specifically somebody like Kamala, she wouldn't even meet with Bibi when he was, he came over, he's the prime minister of Israel. He's in a war. We're heavily invested in that war. People are dying. October 7th was a horrific day, just horrific. And now you see people that are picketing, they're saying no such thing ever happened. They did that with the Holocaust too. They said there was no Holocaust.
All right, I'm done. I tap out.
But this one was right next to us because
this is why, as much as I like to rip Democrats and Kamala, you never know, man. I told you guys I can't predict electoral politics because never underestimate the Republicans' ability to choke this shit away. Trump here sounds like a standard John McCain neocon. There's a reason why he lost in 2020 because he tried to pretend that Biden was a secret communist, a secret Bernie Sanders leftist. In 2016, and then I'll give it to you for last thoughts after this thought here. In 2016, Trump won because he pointed out the corruption of the Hillary Clinton Foundation. They wasn't pretending that Hillary Clinton was a secret Marxist. They was just bringing up the fact that she created NAFTA. Her Clinton Foundation is corrupt, and she's corrupt in cause war. That was the primary messaging. Ever since then, Donald Trump has embraced the establishment of the Republican Party. And it's crazy people don't see it. He is completely washed. He is not the same guy. He is not the same candidate as he was in 2016. I don't believe he is even able to defeat the neoliberal establishment anymore. If Kamala and Biden lose, they choked it away because they support the genocide. Trump is washed, and he's running exactly like a normal Republican, which is why I told you many times before, I don't really know how this election is going to go. My instincts is telling me Democrats may lose, but whenever I look at MAGA, I'm like, guys, you guys look like you want to choke this election away. So anyway, I'm rambling. Danny, any last thoughts on this segment?
Yeah, on the segment before the ACP stuff, you mentioned Obama and his effectiveness as the CEO of U.S. capitalism and U.S. imperialism. And, Michelle Obama, they always talking about she's the champion of the liberals. And, these white liberals see Michelle Obama and they can admire her. And suddenly they feel like somehow, I don't know, the genocide is okay, So Michelle Obama is their champion. Michelle Obama published her senior thesis at Princeton. It was all about the Black Panther Party and Stokely Carmichael. And these people are not stupid. Obama is not stupid. They knew exactly what they were doing, whether it was the dismemberment of Libya, the coup in Honduras, and what W.E.B. Du Bois called the most important issues, the issues of war and peace. But liberals get so caught up, it's all about abortion rights, and not to for a second say that that's not important, but they feed you that. So you have this existential crisis, this Trump derangement syndrome, and you can't see the bigger picture, and you approach the elections like this instead of seeing the global human portrait. It's not just 333 million Americans that inhabit this earth. It's actually 8 billion people. When Trump speaks, the Jewish people, when did Trump become an expert on the Jewish people? His words cannot, if you scrutinize anything he's saying, it just doesn't add up. I mean, the dude is wild. He's a buffoon. I mean, if they had you, they need to have you. They need to have Haas. They need to have our comrades go debate him, because they would wipe the floor with him.
Here's some responses. I almost forgot. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place this live stream. This is my third stream in a row, 3 days in a row. Have mercy on me, guys. Hope you guys enjoying. We got another banger. Appreciate your time, Danny. We'll wrap up soon. I know it's longer than I planned today, but I want to definitely discuss the American Communist Party. I already saw a lot of people in the chat discussing it. Middle MAGA, someone I follow, he's either one of the Trump people who follow me, and he's been going hard at Trump after this. I guess I'm like maybe biased because I have the MAGA people who follow me are generally not as hardcore bootlickers, I guess. So I guess my algorithm is biased. I will admit that. But you see the MAGA people, this clip came out. There was a lot of bullshit I've seen them criticize that wasn't worth reporting on. But this interview in particular, Trump was getting roasted so bad. He was trending with so many MAGA people saying we're done with him after this. Like, he's not America first. I'm going to read a few. Trump is a neo-MAGA con. That's funny, man. It's over, guys. He's washed. Trump is losing votes with this kind of rhetoric. Wait, he's pointing it out, but thinks lobbying is a good thing. I can just scroll through these. I think I had a lot of enjoyment watching this, because I was like, damn. I was getting too optimistic. Like, damn, are they really turning on him? But then I had to ground myself and like, oh yeah, it is. Twitter, I guess. I don't know how representative this is of the whole MAGA community, because this is the kind of shit I'm seeing. Just them calling out Trump for sucking Zionist cock, I would say. That's how I would say. A lot of right wingers get this shit wrong. The fall off of Trump must be studied. Okay, I'm not voting. I'm not voting for Trump. Guys, I could keep going. You know what I mean? These tweets I've seen I will look at their account. They be right wingers sharing all the right winger shit. They have Ben Shapiro. You have not Ben Shapiro. You have all like the Tucker Carlson retweeted. Vivek Ramaswamy. They will retweet Vivek Ramaswamy. The typical right wing accounts. I see them posting en masse after this interview. We're done. I'm not voting for Trump. seriously, fuck this guy. This isn't the 2016 Trump. Why does he keep saying this? This is the only reason I'm not voting Trump. Guys, once again, I guess it's anecdotal. I will admit that. But I've never seen members of the duopoly push back at their leader like this. You will never see liberal Democrats say they won't vote for Kamala for anything. But you're seeing this in mass on Twitter. This is the infamous MAGA account, Jake Shields. Trump is talking to a dual citizen about how Israel needs more control of America. This is pathetic and likely will cost him the election. I also been vaguely following Nick Fuentes declaring war on Trump for being too pro-Israel. I haven't been following too much, but I've vaguely been following him. So right now, there are a lot of the people in the, and then I don't even want to try and I'll pass it to you, but there are a lot of people in the core MAGA base that are starting to say, fuck, I'm not voting for Trump over this. Will that be significant to impact anything? Are these people, will they actually have the bravery to go through it? I don't know, man. But I do think it's worth noting. Danny, anything you want to say? I'll give you last word on this segment before we move on.
Well, I got the ACP stuff ready to go whenever you.
We can get right to it. I know I already took 90 minutes of your time, so let's get right into it.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the American Communist Party. A lot of people got strong opinions of it. Let me see. I pulled this up earlier because I was just looking at the page. I didn't really have this planned as a segment, but you mentioned the American Communist Party multiple times already, and I'm interested to see what your role in it as well. And people asked me about the ACP, the American Communist Party, for quite a few times, and I'm a communist, so why would I oppose the formation of a communist organization? So this is a new communist organization, so there's no reason for me to outwardly hate them. I've seen this where you guys were contributing to a block party, providing food, mutual aid, and actually doing activism in the streets. I seen that tweet. I seen you guys organize and clean up trash for the community. So I'm sure there are things I disagree with Jackson, Hinkle, and Haas on. But when asked my initial impression of the American Communist Party, my position was good luck, and I wish them luck. Because I would never advocate against organization that is also explicitly anti-capitalist, but not only anti-capitalist, they're actually doing the work. That was the first thing I was looking for, Danny. I was like, are they actually doing something, or are they just online? And if you guys were just online, just know we would have went after you guys. But I saw this, I'm like, oh man, at least they're actually doing something. So that's my general take. I want to ask you about your role in the American Communist Party and what the goal is. I will admit that I haven't followed it that closely. I just seen you guys from a distance. Oh, that's an organization. I see Twitter. There's a lot of fucking controversy. A lot of people sharing their opinions about the ACP. I want to ask you directly. Why are you part of this organization? What is the lead up story that led to the ACP?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a part of the ACP because they were the only ones who would really even talk to me or work with me. I've been in the left for 30 years. And all these different organizations, they think they're better than you. They cancel you because you say the wrong thing. And those types of politics are definitely what the ruling class wants. Where is there an organization that can go to the everyday people, just average, normal workers who are humble, who maybe haven't had the opportunity to study imperialism? That's not the primary contradiction in their life. The primary contradiction in their life is joblessness and the humiliation of these politicians who don't speak directly to us. The last time we spoke was when we had our Free America to Free Palestine, the Institute for a Free America conference in Dearborn, Michigan. And what I had broken down then is none of these leftist organizations should be hating so much, because if y'all haven't been able to organize Trump country in a Marxist way, in a revolutionary way, why get in the way of those who were born and raised in Michigan, in Kansas? Shout out to all the comrades in Buffalo, in Poughkeepsie, in upstate New York. So this is a massive country, geographically one of the biggest countries in the world. Do we think that there's one strategy that's going to fit every state, every region of this country? Me, I lived in Haiti. Yeah, we burned the U.S. flag because it was a symbol of imperialism in Port-au-Prince. Same thing in Caracas, same thing in Managua, same thing across the Middle East. But the U.S. flag has another meaning, clearly, obviously, to our sisters and brothers, the everyday people who are in Louisiana, who are in Arkansas. So why not go to them with their symbols? And that's really what I've learned from Haas and from Jackson and from Carlos and from the whole crew, that this American flag doesn't just belong to the bourgeoisie, doesn't just belong to our class enemies. It belongs to the Paul Robesons. It belongs to the Eugene Debs. It belongs to the Claudia Jones. It belongs to the Bill Fosters. And so we're trying to go back to the 1930s, CPUSA, when the Communist Party USA was a real communist party. So we really grew out of the inability of the left to win over everyday people. I can only speak on my experience. I wasn't born and raised in Dearborn. I wasn't born and raised in Houston, Texas, or in Ohio. For me, I've had a 30-year relationship with the movement, with the left. For me, it's been like a long codependent relationship where I kept begging for acceptance and who can I work with. And so many doors were closed in my face that I said, well, why not? And if it doesn't work out, if there's too many contradictions and someone moves on, in every revolutionary organization, there are changes in personnel throughout history. Are people going to laugh at me and make fun of me? They already laugh at me and make fun of me and don't want to work with me. So what's the fear? To quote Carlos and Haas, it's all about having honor and treating our people with honor. And I think the left has been dishonorable. As I go through this whole thing with the FBI, as I lose my job, these different leftist grouplets continue to cancel me. The latest thing with some of these student organizations, and I don't want to mention no names, but it just hurts me so much. It hurt much more than the FBI. Like I said, they claim that I said something, sent something to some chat or in some speech or interview. I mean, I correspond with hundreds and thousands of people from across the world on a daily, on a weekly basis, and they're caught up in some words that I said that were offensive to some anonymous person. They can't tell me who it was, but they just wanted me away from the organization. I can't work with people like that no more. It hurts too much. How many times can you be spat upon? How many times can they shit on you? When they treat you like a deplorable, what do you want us to do? Yeah, we're the despicables, we're the cast off, we're the forgotten, we're the spat upon. But when you spit on us and you shit on us, we're gonna keep our heads up. They abuse my low self-esteem, because when you come from poverty, when you come from nothing, petty bourgeois liberals will take advantage of your low self-esteem. Yeah, I made mistakes in the past. Who's 46 years old and hasn't made mistakes? Who comes from the PTSD that we come from? Who comes from the needles and the heroin and the oxycodone and the oxyelectorate and all of the poor white despicables and deplorables and hasn't made mistakes? So we feel like this is a fresh opportunity. Try something new. We're not unity mongerers, but we want to work with everybody. But right now, we're meeting hundreds and hundreds of people, and they're very excited. And they don't want to just elevate sex politics and gender politics and the quote unquote transgender ideology, this and that. Every human being has the right to express themselves as they see fit. But there's nothing wrong with asking why, from a sociological point of view. In New York City, in many neighborhoods, are 1 in 5 of our youth now identifying with a different gender than they were born to. That's an honest ethnographic sociological question. Why will liberals cancel you just for asking that question? That doesn't mean that we hate anybody. It means that we want to apply a true critical Marxist analysis. That's where the left has failed. It's the failures of the left, the petty bourgeois left, people talking about the working class when they've never worked in their lives. So, I interviewed Ambassador Craig Murray yesterday, and he made a brilliant point. Every time you look at a whistleblower, at an up-and-coming, a critical person in Hollywood, whether it's Russell Brand, even they're even going after Andrew Tate now, it's always some sex scandal. Whenever they want to have a defamation campaign, a disinformation campaign, the cancel culture. It always revolves around this or that sexual accusation. And of course, we have to take those things serious. Sexual harassment, rape, in this country, they always talk about they're going to go save women in Afghanistan, and the 86th Airborne going to go save women in Iran. It's ridiculous when in this country, every 11 seconds, a woman is subjected to sexual harassment. But if we never participated against any violence against women, why are you always trying to jam us up and call us misogynists? The ruling class loves this stuff. You're doing the work of the ruling class by dividing us and putting out these liberal politics. And of course, if you interview, and I think that's what I'm learning. Look, I'm the #1 student of this. I'm observing. And that's one thing about me and my quest for sobriety and my quest for survival, because there were a lot of times I didn't think I was going to make it, never mind 3 generations of my family. It's a daily quest for survival, which a lot of these PMC agents, professional managerial class, they don't come from where we come from. To quote Kendrick Lamar, they're not like us. They can't relate to us. So they love the cancel culture because they catch you jammed up. You made a mistake. You was locked up. You was hustling. You did this. You did that. Then they can say that you're a deplorable. So that's my story. But I think the beauty is that if you talk to the other comrades, you're going to get another whole viewpoint on what inspired them with some similarities. So a lot of the work I'm doing is the international work alongside comrade Chris Halali. So many people talking smack about him, similar. And that's the question, I see 543 comments here. I'd love to go back and read the comments after. If I look at them now, I'll get hyper distracted. But, the algorithms on Twitter. X is an app that feeds off of division and animosity, and people get these dopamine hits by seeing others fail. Where is your self-esteem if you're invested in others' failures? Why wouldn't you wish us well for trying to do something?
The same people who are depressed. They're the same people who are still on depression medicine and wonder why they feel so horrible about their life. I know exactly. I know if you guys haven't seen, there's like the group of Twitter leftists that do nothing but shit on people who actually do stuff. They have anime profile pictures. They never show their face. They just shit on people. That's all they do. Then they wonder why they
work of the bourgeoisie. They do the work of the oligarchs. It's embarrassing. We want to be the party that speaks to the forgotten youth, the alienated youth. Last year in this country, about 700 mass random shootings. Those are our children. That kid that shot Trump, and if the bullet was 1 centimeter to the right, somehow it might have shaken things up, because you need a crisis often to provoke a pre-revolutionary situation or a revolutionary situation, the subjective and the objective context. But that 20-year-old, the mass media, the mainstream bourgeois media was like, well, we don't know nothing about him. We just know that he had no friends and he was isolated. That's the key detail. This generation of young people that went through COVID, they grew up with these computer screens. I mean, I'm 46. My children are 17 and 22, so I can see things through a generational perspective. We want to be the party of the alienated, of the forgotten, of the humiliated, because that doesn't exist in this country. This left, they think they're better than us. The ACP is saying, you're not better than me. You're not better than any of our people. We have a right to speak too. We have a right to organize. You want to kick us out of this group and that group because you're so pure. Go ahead. We're going to do our own thing. We have our right to our day under the sun as well.
Yeah, very well said. And you're very passionate about this. I'm going to say regarding the American Communist Party, I wish you guys luck. I think the cancel culture that has infected the left, which is definitely a psyop, which is designed to make the left weaker. There's a psyop in America where they want everyone to distrust their neighbors. Like, you gotta be afraid of this person. That's why I went so hard against the Rage Against the War machine. I don't give a fuck who these people are. They're against war. Why is there this obsession with being afraid of your neighbors? Where did this obsession come from where we have to agree on every goddamn issue? I am willing to work with anyone who agree with me on ending war and ending the two-party duopoly, especially a party that is explicitly anti-capitalist. We can debate all the cultural issues. We can debate all that stuff later. That's what it means to be in community with each other. That's when you're in community with people you disagree with. You work through those issues and you learn from each other. That's what it means to have a community if we have like-minded goals. There's this mindset on the left. I've seen a lot of people say this as well. Well, they say, I will never work with the ACP because of Jackson, because of Haas, because of these people. There's like this canceling by association. Like, people canceling, like, I would never fuck with RBN because he had Jimmy on. Okay, fuck you. Like you're the weak link. I don't
They
want
think
people.
they're better than you, Nick. They think they're better than you. None of y'all are better. The Haitians say it. Moon say moon, the slogan of the Haitian Revolution, 1804. The slogan of Jean-Bertrand Aristide, the democratically elected president of Haiti, twice coup, twice kidnapped. Moon say moon. Nobody is better than nobody. We all have a right to participate. And you mentioned the media. The media cashes in on our fear. They control us through fear. You watch the 6 o'clock news, the 11 o'clock news. It's always some mother went and dropped a baby in a dumpster, and horrific things. So then you think, oh my God, human beings, is like Thomas Hobbes said and John Locke, human beings are inherently evil. And yes, the stuff in Palestine is bad, but guess what? Putin's doing the same thing. So they hit us with so much misinformation and so much propaganda. Indeed, they are psyops. And to all the people who've held me down over the years, I don't mean to completely dismiss the entire left. No way. I'm extremely grateful for all of the democratic centralism and all of the discipline. Like to quote Comrade Eddie Smith, who many of y'all might know from Midwestern Mark's TikTok, he said, you want to cancel us, go for it. You want to shit on us, you want to mock us, you're better than us, cool. Our doors are open. We don't think we're better than nobody. We're leading with humility. And give us a chance. We got some talented people. Let's see where it goes. And if it doesn't work out, so what? We tried to make our dent. We're going to keep trying. And right now, I just learn more every day, from very, very talented comrades. We're growing. You can see the enthusiasm, and it's a dialectical journey. Hopefully, there will be more unity in the future. Hopefully, some of these organizations can reflect, but it's going to be tough if you have petty bourgeois, insecure leadership trying to be, swinging dicks like they're all this and all that, but they're only trying to guard their own personal liberal fiefdoms, and they get tens of millions of dollars from the NGOization of the left and the non-profitization. This foundation left, people canceling me that are getting $80,000 salaries from the movement. Who the fuck are you? I never received a dime. I've been doing this shit for 30 years, sacrificed my life to this shit. You're not better than me. Why you walk around like this, like you better than me? You ain't shit. Yeah. So that's my story. And the beauty of it is you talk to John Jackman and you talk to this comrade, and you talk to Noah and these brilliant individuals, and you talk to Slav and you talk to Bridget and you talk to Hassan, and you're going to hear a different story, and they can express their story. So we have hundreds and hundreds of stories across this country, and we're going places that communism hasn't gone since the 1930s. And if you're against that, then you're carrying out the agenda of our class enemies. And I ask you, why? Why not check it out? We're interviewing right now. Go to our website, sign up for an interview, ask all of your questions, check out our streams. Palestine does not need more sectarianism. Palestine needs the United States to step the fuck up in a definitive watershed human moment, something that perhaps we haven't seen since 1941 till 1945. It wasn't just the Holocaust about Jewish sisters and brothers, 6 million cut down. It was a Holocaust of socialists and communists and union leaders and women's leaders and gay people and the elderly, 6 million others cut down, and 27 million Soviets. But do you ever hear a person say, oh, my Soviet grandparents, I'm a survivor, we were survivors? No, the survivor, quote unquote, the whole survivor narrative is preserved for one people, for the Zionists, not even for the anti-Zionist Jews, who, of course, Trump and these other ruling class mouthpieces, billionaire mouthpieces, won't even mention, as if the Jewish people were some type of monolith. That's just insulting to our intelligence.
Yeah, if you guys are wondering why I am somewhat sympathetic, because I've seen a lot of the attacks that the American Communist Party was hit with, And I'm not saying there's not legit criticisms. I think you guys should be skeptical of all
I have my own
organizations.
criticisms. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, you guys should be skeptical of all organizations, even us. But the reason why you guys can sense some sympathy in my voice is because what you guys think we went through. Like, I had my big viral speech in Chicago, and now all these motherfuckers changing their tune. They seen our mutual aid organizations. Guys, do you have any idea how many people reached out to me like, hey, Nick, I apologize. I used to thought you guys was grifters. I apologize for smearing you. Nah, fuck you. Fuck you. Because that's Black Power Media, guys. That Dr. Kamal. That's Jared Ball. Remember, there was a coordinated campaign to attack us because they was upset. We called ourselves Fred Hampton leftists. The same thing that the American Communist Party is going through right now is the same thing we went through. Where we, a group of college dropouts, people are uneducated. We started our own organization. We said we're going to organize and trying to build the best movement that we can. And we got hit with so much heat. For what? Having the audacity to build an organization, to put our voice out there. So and that's essentially why I'm seeing the ACP being attacked for. How dare you guys organize? Like, what's the criticism?
How dare you pick up trash in Newburgh, New York? You have no right to go to these post-industrial Rust Belt cities and actually share smiles and fists and revolutionary hope with the people. Who are you to do that?
Yeah, and that's the same thing. Guys, if you wonder why I'm sympathetic, we was hit with the same fucking thing. It took so long for me to establish credibility. Remember when I was announced, when Bree announced that I would be joining the Hill to debate Robbie over Venezuela, you guys should have saw Twitter, fam. There was all these PMC people with degrees like, who the fuck is this guy? How are you going to bring this grifter on? He don't know anything. And then what happened? In that debate, I fucking slaughtered Robbie. Slaughtered him worse than any of these PMC scum that was ever invited to the Hill. These people went silent. They talked all sort of shit about the General Strike Summit. Hassan Piker, all these people talking shit about the General Strike Summit. The General Strike Summit was so successful, they then later stole our idea. And they started owning their own General Strike Summit. And it was after so much work, so much organizing, that people were like, oh man, I think they're legit. Why the fuck did you start it off by smearing us? Why was there the assumption that we were bad faith? And there's like this work you have to do to prove people wrong. And it's weird. That's why people don't want to get into organizing, because there's like this mafia of people who's just waiting for someone to do shit. The second you start organization, all of a sudden they want to talk shit about you. The same thing happened to RBN. Why do you think so many RBN members quit? They couldn't go through the pressure, and so many people just get attacked, get smeared. And I see the same thing happen to ACP. And remember Black Power Media, Jared Ball, Kamal, they snitched to the chairman lying about us. They created a web between us and the chairman that has been repaired. You guys saw Rome in Chicago. Rome, now we got a great relationship with the chairman, because the PMC scumbags went to Fred Hampton Jr. and told lies about him to us. That's how much they were trying to wreck our movement. And you know what I noticed? The same people who did that to us are the same people attacking them. So after the experience that I've been through, I want to support people who actually want to get offline and actually organize. So that's my final thoughts. I didn't mean to go 2 hours, Danny. I apologize for taking time.
This is important. This is important. Getting offline is an important piece, because this stage of late senile capitalism has isolated us more than others, which increases our alienation. So that's a fundamental thing that we're trying to do. We're trying to re-socialize, especially young people who have basically grown up with all these screens. My two sons' generation. So just to get out into the community, to meet people. And one of the things we're doing, we just go block to block, farm to farm, whatever it is. How can we help? How can we be of service? What changes would you like to see? And that re-socializing experience for hundreds and hundreds of young people is not a negative thing. And in life, we can't be afraid to fail. I failed a million times, but stood back up. As a boxer, I got floored how many times? Got knocked down, had to stand back up, keep fighting. That's
what it means to be a martial artist, guys. Like if you're a confident martial artist, that means you got your ass beat. So you guys know how many times I got my ass beat, bro? That's why people who got big egos, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I'll let you continue. That's why people who got big egos can never get into martial arts, because they do that first jiu-jitsu class and they get their ass beat and they never come again. But go ahead, Danny. That's what it means.
I mean, in the ACP, we say ego is not your amigo. This is not about one individual. This is about 333 million Americans, and how can we build? There's a revolutionary saying or dictum that comes out of Cuba, out of the CDRs, the Comité de Defensa de la Revolución, the revolutionary coordinating committees, because the revolution in Cuba is organized block by block, campo campo, country throughout the countryside. And they always say, hay muchos que prefieren ser la cabeza de un ratón en vez de ser la cola de un león. Many on the left prefer to be the head of a mouse instead of being the tail of a lion. So it's this issue of protagonism. And some of these people who think they're OGs or whatever, that they have some type of monopoly over the moment and they can dictate, no, you've been canceled. No, you did this. We're not going to say hi to you for 7 years in the streets of New York and across this country. That to me is anti-socialist. That's anti-dialectical. It's anti-worker because, yes, working class people and the lumpen proletariat and all sectors of our class have made a mistake. And that's not me dismissing the entire left. There's many, many good people who have had my back over the years, but we feel like thank you, Pacheco Rone. I appreciate the gratitude, and I just got to give gratitude, to my family in the ACP, because it's difficult when you've given your life to this, and former students who are now agents of the PMC won't even say hi to you. And
I can't imagine what you went through, man. That sounds so crazy. But go ahead.
Oh, it's so crazy. I roll up to these demonstrations in front of the major symbols of capitalist power, people who were students of mine, people who I've known their entire lives. When they were getting beat up by their husbands, by their abusive boyfriends, who do you think they called? Who helped out? Who was there? And now they have to go like this. I mean, there was this, what do you call that? Krav McGraw, this big jacked up dude who once upon a time I sat down with and recruited and mentored. And when he was jammed up, when he got into trouble with his girlfriend, his old lady, who you think he called? Who you think was there for him? Now he sees me, goes like, and this cat's like 6'4", 220 pounds. And when this cat see me, he do one of these, man, like he never seen me before. And it's like, motherfucker, what are you afraid of? Because when shit was real, when we was toe-to-toe with the police, who was there? Who did I betray? I never stabbed none of y'all motherfuckers in the back for y'all to stab me in the back. So what Haas is talking about, what these young guerrillas are talking about, they're talking about honor. And I think the left has lost its moral compass and its honor. And that's what's brought me. People ask me, well, why would you join the ACP? You see what Jackson tweeted. Okay, it's dialectical. Anything that is sexist or misogynist, we're not down with that. It's time to step our game up, and the comrades are stepping up their game. This brother Jackson was out there with Nicolas Maduro, and guess what? He did what the left has never done. He spoke to Maduro and then broadcasted to millions and millions and millions of everyday Americans. It's not enough to reach other activists. I don't give a fuck about activists. Activists know what's up. That's why they're activists. If you're not reaching everyday people, you ain't about shit. That's our only chance. If we really want to stop a genocide, marching in circles around New York City with this group here, they won't even talk to this group or this group because they've canceled each other, and they both receive funds from big foundations. That's the definition of sectarianism, and it's financed from the top, from the ruling class. The ruling class sitting back laughing at this left. And that's not to dismiss the whole thing. I'm approaching it dialectically. It's not pure resentment, but there is resentment. And I've done the spiritual work. No one can tell me shit. I followed every order from these motherfuckers. When they canceled me, I went and hung my head. But for how many years? I've shown humility, but you're not going to humiliate me. The humiliation is over. The ACP is saying the humiliation is over. We're going to do this. We're going to do our best. And let's see what happens. What do we have to lose but our chains, but our proletarian chains, but our humiliation, but our hunger? And we have a whole world to gain. So we look forward to working with y'all more, in person. Let us know, because we got people across the country. There's hundreds and hundreds of interviews going on right now. There's an incredibly talented Teamster veteran union organizer who's heading up these interviews and the recruitment project. And we're meeting beautiful people, young people, people who want to get involved in the struggle. So for us, it's nothing but revolutionary optimism, which is a responsibility, which is a historic duty, especially as this genocide advances forward.
Yeah, very well said, Danny. And I sincerely mean it when I said I wish the American Communist Party the best of luck. I sincerely hope that you guys stay true to your principles, because if you stay true to your principles, it has a lot of potential. One thing I do want to clarify, I saw this comment on the side of my eye as you were speaking. I do want to give a big shout out to Kalanji. He's running Black Power Media. I know a lot about this split, by the way, guys. You guys know, remember when we did our response video to Black Power Media, then known as Black Power Media? Rome predicted it. But go back and look at our diss track where we ended them. Rome said it's only a matter of time before they split up. Because we explained how they don't have organizational discipline. The fact that you would smear a young group of Black people who just want to elevate the name of Fred Hampton leftists, we knew they didn't have any cohesion. We knew there were a lot of problems. And Rome said on stream, we bet that they break up here soon. And that's exactly what they did. So my apologies to Black Power Media. The people who are the scumbag rats are the people in Black Liberation Media, Jared Ball and Kamal, who smeared us to the chairman. They joined the liberals in order to smear us to the chairman, which led Fred Hampton Jr.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
Now everything been made up because we had people advocate for us to the chairman. We had people explain that was lies, and that was Jared Ball and Kamal, who we will never forget, because if you don't remember, we propped them up. We shared the stuff that some activism they did. We was allies, and then they was jealous because we was getting more attention than us. And Jared Ball and Kamal, the PMC scum, they lied about us and smeared us. But I do want to say this, because I do think it had to be said. Kalanji always had our back. The guy who's now running Black Power Media. I want to make sure he don't get caught up in this, because I know I can't share a lot of stuff with you guys. I know a lot of the inner workings here. Kalanji had our back from day one, and that's one of the reasons why they had a split. There was a shit-lit wing of the organization, and there was the real ones. Kalanji is a real one. I don't want him to catch any friendly fire. I got a lot of respect for that brother, and I'm gonna have him on RBN one day. But anyway, Danny, I'm gonna give you last thoughts. I didn't mean for this stream to go 2 hours, but I think it was a great conversation.
Well, you keep saying that it's gonna go 3 hours. I've had last thoughts like 8 times now, but it's all good. Another thing that I will take advantage to say, Nick, just man to man, comrade to comrade, and I've been following your work for a while, and it's nothing but love and respect, and wish y'all the best. We look forward to trudging the road of happy liberation destiny together, wherever that is, whether it's in in the Midwest or here in the coastal cities. I'm so sick of chasing these leftists around. There's leftists out there. They've published entire books against cancel culture, and they go out there and they say the Frankfurt School and cancel culture, and I got all this education in French, but it's academia and it's cancel culture. But when we try to do something new, they were so quick to cancel us. And I'm just the type of dude, I come from nothing, Nick. I come from nothing. I come from the streets, come from welfare, come from humiliation, come from that's just where I'm from. And I have to wear that with pride, because it's certain working class chauvinism. When you put in that work, you have a right to feel dignified about that work you put in. But because of my low self-esteem, I'm thinking, wow, this person published a book, and this person in Philadelphia, and I'd like to drive down and sit down with them. And now these motherfuckers want to ignore me because, Jackson tweeted something 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, years ago, said this, said that. Hopefully there's mentorship and there's camaraderie. This young man somehow, some way, and there's all types of loose accusations, of course, against him. But from what I can tell, organically, with all the contradictions built in, he was able to beat the algorithms. But they're going to throw all people hitting me up to know me forever. He's CIA this, he's CIA that. That's the easiest way to discredit somebody. People have been trying to say I'm CIA for years because of the work I do in Haiti. And maybe they don't know, they want to say that barbecue is the ultimate revolutionary. I've listened to the Haitian people. I've listened to how many thousands and thousands of Haitians, and Haitians ain't saying barbecue is their savior. So don't expect me to just go along with you when you don't even speak Haitian Creole. You never talk to the Haitian people. But you going around the entire English-speaking media, leftist media, talking about barbecues and saber. That's not what the Haitian people are saying. So people want to hate on me and they start insinuating, well, you're a CIA. I mean, that's the oldest, tiredest sectarian. Actually, it's a CIA tactic to try to discredit us. So I'm done. I'm done chasing.
Yeah, we can wrap up. I'm sorry for keeping you on so long. It was a great conversation. Make sure you guys check out Danny Shaw and the ACP if you guys want to learn more. This is our second stream 3 days in a row. Savvy Sabs and the JB Show will be live tomorrow. Let me pull up my my guest list so you guys. Let's see who they having on. They having Rennie Toure on the Savvy and JB Show. They are part of Black for Peace, who we have a strong alignment with as well. So that's tomorrow. The Savvy and JB Show at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Che Bowles is joining me on Friday. So we have another banger. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good one.